Hello, shiny happy people. Welcome back to my channel. I am the Cinema.Sewist, and on this channel, I am trying to create a cinematic wardrobe combining the two things that I probably love the most, which is fashion and movies, utilizing a little bit of creativity and a whole lot of dedication. Today, we're jumping heads first into Pulp Fiction again. And I say again because if you've seen the last of my videos of this outfit here, the honey pumpkin, which I am wearing a lot with pride actually lately, then yeah, you know that we're in the middle of the world of Pulp Fiction, and this time it is the real Cinemake that I originally wanted to make, because this was a little bit of an improv situation. I needed something for summer. And mind you, in Florida, even this is still too warm, believe it or not. But it is a very cool outfit and I'm still very proud of it. If you want to see how I made this, I'm going to link the playlist in the description below, just in case you're here for the first time and have not seen the other videos yet. But this time we are going with the Pulp Fiction Cinemake that is also part of my Make 9 for 2023. And we're already in September. I know I'm not going to make it with my Make 9s this year, but hey-oh. This is the Vincent Vega trench coat, or the Vincent and Mia trench coat, however you want to see it, based on the movie. I wanted to make a trench coat for the longest time. I did have a couple of trench coats in the past, but they were all made by my mom. So this will be another first for me because I have never personally made a trench coat. And I don't have a trench coat at the moment. The last one I unfortunately had to throw away after wearing it for over 10 years. It was made from faux leather, and the problem here in Florida is that everything made from faux leather at one point or another just fades away. Like the upper layer of the faux fur just peels away. Yeah. This one just got destroyed, and I was actually gutted because I loved that trench coat a lot. But that's not the topic here. We are going to recreate the one and only Vincent Vega trench coat, which is again a John Travolta Cinemake. So this is the third Cinemake, and two of them are inspired by John Travolta. I can already tell you it's the last one, at least for now. I'm actually contemplating if the John Travolta series would be fun, but that's a whole other story. We are going to get into, as always, the movie, the outfit, the fabrics, and the pattern. So let's jump right into it. All right, I don't need to talk about the movie that much because I did talk about the movie, about the stats, about the making of the movie in the Honey Pumpkin. Right now, I just want to focus it more on the movie itself and the part where the trench coat actually appears. And that part is mainly the storyline centering around Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta, and Mia Wallace, played by Uma Thurman. So the story is, in the beginning you see Vincent Vega, and he's going off, I think he's going to his drug dealer to get some drugs, as you do as a hitman who's substance problems, but okay. And afterwards, he is taking out Mia to a restaurant, just showing her a good time. She is the wife of his boss. And so he's kind of obliged of doing it, but it's always this lure around, you might get in trouble if you get too close to this woman because she has a jealous husband. And yeah, that's actually pretty much how the story goes. I don't want to get too much into it in case you have not seen the movie. It might be possible. But there is a lot of very cult scenes, you could say, that are very well known. Probably most famous is the dance scene between John Travolta and Uma Thurman. The twist competition that they end up winning, and it is a very cool scene. It's just that scene alone is, I think, what makes the movie. And it's also, well, I mean, John Travolta is very well known as being a terrific dancer. If you look at Saturday Night Fever, again, if you look at Grease, even if you look at Staying Alive, which I think I mentioned at some point in the past, that's a guilty pleasure movie of mine. I love Staying Alive, even though it's, I mean, some say it's hot garbage. You might be right, but it is a cool movie. Anyway, but you see the trench coat throughout that episode. And yeah, it is first worn by Vincent Vega, and then later on it is worn by Mia as they get home back from their not really date, kind of date. And it plays a pivotal part also in terms that it brings the story forward to where it leads in the end of that episode. Again, I'm not going to spoil it in case you have not seen it. So, yes, that's pretty much all to the movie of that part. Now, I have a little bit of a confession to make. In terms of the movie Pulp Fiction itself, and I haven't touched upon this in the last Cinemake, but
here's the situation.
When I first saw Pulp Fiction, I did not really like it. I know. I'm a big Quentin Tarantino fan. Like, by now I also love Pulp Fiction. I grew to love the movie, and Pulp Fiction was the first movie I ever saw of his. It was on TV. It was advertised big before. Blah, 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 the movie of the year, Pulp Fiction, now on TV. You know how it goes. You get hyped up, and I watched it with my mom, and we both were kind of meh about it. And it is probably because the style was new back then. So it's kind of like, I remember when you look at movies from the 80s up until the early 90s, the storytelling is very straightforward. Right now, I'm going back sometimes into 80s movies, and I'm sometimes surprised how straightforward a movie is being told, because I'm always waiting for the catch that we are now so used to with nonlinear storytelling or just flipping everything upside down. And I think that's one of the points back then. It was so new to us. And also, I was kind of like, yeah, what's the point of all of this? But then again, as it is sometimes with movies, you gotta give them a second chance. Sometimes a movie can also just confuse you so much that you're like, okay, I'm not sure about this one. We didn't dislike the movie. That's We were just kind of mad about it based on the hype that was created about it beforehand, which probably sometimes is a mistake. When a movie is being hyped so much by everyone and everyone tells, oh, it's the best movie ever, you gotta watch it, you gotta watch it, you gotta watch it. And then you watch it and you go like, okay, what exactly is the point? So for me, that was that. When I watched the movie for the first time, the part that I liked probably the most was the story centered around Bruce Willis's character, because it had the biggest punchline. And yeah, I I became a fan of Quentin Tarantino only later on, when and I don't remember exactly the timeline, but I think it was when I saw Jackie Brown. I watched Jackie Brown back then in cinemas, again with my mom. And strangely enough, that movie we both loved. probably also because of the 70s music. And I will at some point make a Cinemake around Jackie Brown. It's going to happen. You better get familiar with it, even if you hate the movie. I know a lot of Tarantino fans go like, oh, Jackie Brown is so boring. Controversial opinion of mine, Jackie Brown is Tarantino's best work. There, I said it. I said it. I love all of his movies for different reasons. I think they're all, even Death Proof is a fine movie for what it is. And yeah, Jackie Brown to me is the best. There you go. And Pulp Fiction, like I said, over the years, I have grown to love that movie. By now, I really enjoy watching it. I really like it. I get a lot more of the lore. And I think my second favorite movie of all time, anyway, is Reservoir Dogs. So I like his third movie the best and his first movie the second best. So, and then everything else just falls into place. But that's about the movie. Let's get to the trench coat. All right, so the Vincent Vega trench coat. I was having a look at it. First off, it is a classic beige, brown, like a duster coat, really. It's like really the classic trench coat that it has a very relaxed fit, almost like I'm trying to think. I'm even trying to think about the Humphrey Bogart trench coat from Casablanca, which was probably the trench coat that brought trench coats into the attention that they have, essentially. But it's a black and white movie, so I don't know. I think it was roughly the same colorway, like beige, sand, brownish type of deal. That's kind of the classic color for male trench coat. And his is super relaxed. It goes off the shoulders by quite a bit. I think it goes down to here. Now, mind you, I'm making a pattern that is fitted. The shoulders are going to be actually where the shoulders are, so it's not going to be that slouchy look, but it's still going to be, I'm trying to get it a little bit into a relaxed direction, if not that much. This one, I'm not entirely sure if it had a lapel. I need to put up pictures. I don't know now from the top of my head. I looked at it and looked at it, but now I forgot. The significant part is also it has a rounded collar, not a pointed lapel. I'm going to make a pointed lapel because again, that's what the pattern gives me, and not sure if I like that tiny rounded look. It looks very tiny, to be honest. I do like trench coats that have a bit of more of oomph in that collar area, but that's just me. That's just my preference there. And what else? You have tabs on the sleeves, which are again very loose, the sleeves. Mine are going to be more fitted, although I'm considering, and the pattern does not have that, but I'm considering adding those tabs for interest. Yeah, it's just a simple, it's a fairly simple, loose fitting trench coat. The interesting thing, which is kind of saving me, and I'll tell you when we get to the fabric why, this one does not have a belt. So I looked at it front and back. I was kind of going back and forth on a bit of a thought process, and then I saw, oh, this one doesn't have a belt. That is actually very cool. And I'm going to tell you right now, give you the hint as we move into the pattern that I'm using. So the pattern that I'm using is going to be, again, a Vicky-Sewist pattern. Not only am I making another John Travolta make, I'm also utilizing a Vicky-Sewist pattern again. there is no method to this. So if you think there is a method to this, there isn't. It is really coincidence. Because I had another pattern, which is a Vogue pattern, I can put up a picture of that up here. And I believe it actually does look closer to the Vincent Vega trench coat, a little bit at least. But ultimately, I prefer the Vicky So's pattern, and it is this one. It's the Gladys coat. And yeah, as you can see, this is very fitted. I'm going to put up more pictures here so you can see them a little better. This one has a flap in the front, which again, I need to, yeah, I need to double check again if the Travolta one has one or not. I don't think it has one, but okay. I like the flaps actually in the front. If it's a double flap, if it's a singular one, it doesn't matter. I enjoy that type of feature. So you have one flap in the front, and you have a yoke in the back, which is kind of pointed. Well, not kind of, it is pointed. This one has a belt, and it has pockets. I think they have welt pockets, but they're like very wide welts. So for outerwear, which I find very interesting. And other than that, yeah, the fitted sleeves, which is a two-piece sleeve. Now, bit of a pet peeve about this pattern with the belt. I was looking at the pattern, and I was looking at the pictures with that belt. I mean, it's fine that it has a belt. A belt is a very classic feature of a trench coat, right? I mean, my trench coats in the past, they always had a belt. But they also had belt loops. So that you could, and that is also, again, a classical look. First of all, you have a buckle with those belts, at least typically, at least how I know them, so that you can also tie the belt in the back and have it hang loosely there, so you don't lose the belt. You could undo that and then tie it in the front, or yeah, belt it in the front. But then if you have belted it in the back, it's just out of the way. And it is a nice visual feature of a trench coat. This thing, however, does not have belt loops. And while it looks very cool, I am looking at it from a practical perspective, and I go like, how are you going to wear this in everyday life? You always have to wear that coat then belted. You could never run around with the trench coat loosely open, because where do you put the belt? If there are no belt loops, do you carry the belt in your hand? Do you put it around your neck? What are you doing with the belt? I know it's fashion, and fashion doesn't have to be practical, but I'm sorry, folks, for a coat, it has to be practical. I need a practical coat that does not bug me when I run around, because I can't imagine myself, especially when I'm somewhere and you're going through public transit or whatever. You're already fiddling with your purse, with your money, with your card to get to the bus, to the metro, whatever you need to do. You don't want to mess around with a belt when you're potentially feeling warm and you want to open up the coat, and then what are you doing with the belt? You have another item in your hand, or do you stuff it in your purse? What are you doing with the belt? I know this sounds a little bit, maybe it sounds nitpicky, maybe it even sounds crazy, but this is the stuff I was thinking about when I looked at the pattern. I was like, what are you doing with the belt if you don't need the belt? So I was first thinking of just adding belt loops myself. So I would have, totally. But for another reason, I have opted to go without the belt. First of all, as I've talked about, the Vincent Vega trench coat does not have a belt, which is lucky for me. And I'm going to tell you right now, as I show you the fabrics. All right, so I'm saying fabrics. It is actually one, and it's one lining, but I'm going to show you the lining anyway because it is cute. The reason why, let's get right to the point. The reason why I'm not going to add the belt is simply because I do not have enough fabric. And there comes into play the lucky part for me that the Vincent Vega trench coat doesn't have a belt. This fabric that I have, which I'm going to show you in a second, is from my mom's stash, actually. I think she bought this for herself for a trench coat and never got around to making it. And I can just hold it up. I washed it, but I didn't iron it yet, so forgive me for the creasy look. So this is the right side, this is the off side. You could play around potentially a little bit with with a bit of interest if you wanted to, by also showing off the left side. But for our Vincent Vega trench coat, I'm only utilizing this side. This is a twill weave, and it is, I still have the tag, it is 85% polyester and 15% polyamide. And I have 3 meters of it. I measured it before I put it in a wash. It was 3.1 meters. And the Gladys coat, including the belt and everything, takes 3.4 meters. And I was looking at it, I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. I can cut, if I can say so myself, I do have inherited the talent from my mom to cut very efficiently, so that I usually get away with less than what they point out what you need in terms of fabric. Although I must say, if you consider sewing with Vicky Sew's pattern, they're pretty good in giving you the right amount of fabric. So if they recommend a certain amount of fabric, you probably should go with it, because they already have pretty clever ways to lay out the patterns and everything. They also have layout overviews of cutting layouts. So yes, they're really good at it. So you might follow their recommendation. But it led me with, okay, I'm 30 centimeters short, which is not, it's over 10 inches. Yes. And so like, ugh. So yeah, it came to my rescue that I don't need a belt. And I did already do the pattern piece Tetris with this one, and I am just getting the coat out, which I'm very happy about, because I would have been gutted if I could not make a trench coat out of this fabric, because it is so pretty. It is a very classic twill weave. It's just a perfect duster coat. I know I'm going to like this. I already know. It might be very light for me, although, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes once it's done. But this is really going to be like a staple in my wardrobe. You know, it fits to everything. You just throw it over, especially when you have autumny weather. It's raining and everything. So this one is definitely a winner, and I'm happy that I get to use this up. Now I'm quickly also going to show you the lining, because I do have matching lining. This is the one. This is another twill weave, and it's iridescent, because there are 2 different colors for the threads. So there is pink and there is like an olive green. So you can see that here. If you see the bottom threads, you see the pink and you see the olive green, and it's woven together into this lining. And I have 5 meters of that. At least I don't have problems in terms of the lining, because I sure have enough lining also for for other endeavors, not just this trench coat, which I'm very happy about. But that is the plan. This is going to be the Vincent Vega or Vincent and Mia trench coat from the movie Pulp Fiction. I am curious to see how this goes. I am excited, but I'm also, uh, yeah, it certainly has a lot of challenges there, the coat. As far as I could see, there's also bound buttonholes, which I then also have to make. It's not the first time I made bound buttonholes, but not very good at them. So we will see. I might consider just sewing hand sewn buttonholes, although I'm not great at that at those either. We'll see. We'll see. Join me on this ride to a classic trench coat. And yeah, I'll just jump right in.